Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a really fascinating scenario that one of you actually shared with us, and we're building a complete playbook from the source material.
That's right. We're digging into a piece called Inversión Dulce. Cómo destinar US $100 y acciones de Coca-Cola desde Colombia.
Which translates to sweet investment, how to allocate US $100 to Coca-Cola shares from Colombia.
And it's such an engaging idea right off the bat because it takes this huge, iconic, global brand, Coca-Cola, and connects it to a very specific, very achievable goal.
Right. How does an everyday person, starting small in Colombia, actually get access to the New York Stock Exchange?
It makes it real.
It does. We're not talking about some abstract economic theory here. We're talking about taking $100, which, let's be honest, is about the cost of a nice dinner out and turning it into a tiny piece of history.
You literally become a fractional owner of the brand, the logistics, the whole machine.
A company that's been a pillar of global consumption since, the 1880s. You own a piece of that.
So our mission for this deep dive is really threefold. First, we want to, really break down how to access the international stock market.
To democratize it.
Exactly. Second, we're going to walk you through the step-by-step process, the real nitty-gritty of moving money from a bank in Colombia and making that purchase.
And third, we have to look at KO, that's Coca-Cola's stock ticker, with a critical eye. It's not all sweetness and light.
And by the end of this, our goal is for you to know exactly which platform to look for, what documents you need, and what the real trade-offs are with an investment like this.
We want you ready to go the moment the market opens.
To do that, we do have to cover some of the specific language. We'll talk about that ticker, KO, what dividends are and why they're so important here, and the commissions. All the little costs you need to be aware of.
Okay, so let's unpack this. The sources are really clear on one thing right at the start. $100 is not about getting rich quick.
No, not at all. It's about building an investment habit.
A habit. That's the key word. This is the seed, the very first seed for your portfolio. Why is that framing so important?
Because the mindset is everything. We're talking about investment, not speculation. Investment is a long-term thing based on the actual business. Speculation is, well, it's just gambling on price swings.
So with $100, the goal is to build that muscle memory. Learning to watch the market, understand risk, and develop patience.
So much patience.
Which means we have to talk about the future right away. This first step, buying Coca-Cola, it's just that, a starting point. The goal isn't to one day have, $10,000 all in KO.
Absolutely not. Diversification is still the golden rule, but you have to start somewhere. And what's so brilliant about choosing Coca-Cola for this first step is how it demonstrates the power of compound interest.
Even on a tiny scale.
Especially on a tiny scale.
So why KO specifically? It's not a flashy tech company. It's not going to double overnight. Yeah.
And that's precisely the point. The sources highlight KO because it's what's known as an income stock, or, to use the more specific term, a dividend aristocrat.
That sounds impressive. What does it actually mean?
It means the company has increased its dividend payout, the cash it gives back to shareholders, every single year for more than 60 consecutive years.
60. Wow.
6 decades. Think about that. They've navigated the inflation of the 70s, the 2008 financial crisis, global pandemics, all of it, while making sure shareholders got a raise every single year.
That's an incredible track record of stability.
It is, and that consistency is what makes the strategy of dividend reinvestment so powerful for you. When that tiny dividend payment comes in, you just tell your broker to automatically use it to buy more tiny pieces of KO stock.
And then those new little pieces earn their own dividend.
Exactly, which then buy more shares, and the whole thing just starts to snowball over decades. That's how a small amount can grow into something really surprising.
All right, let's move to the practical side, the how. Step one in this whole process, you've got to bridge that gap between, say, Bogota and Wall Street. You need a broker.
An intermediary, and this is where a lot of first-time international investors get stuck.
Your first thought is probably, I'll just go to my local bank.
You'd think so. But the sources explain that for small international investments, local Colombian banks are often a non-starter.
Why is that? What are the barriers?
It usually comes down to high minimums. They might require $5,000, maybe even $10,000 US dollars just to open an account for trading internationally.
Okay, so that immediately prices out our $100 investor.
Completely. And then on top of that, you have high commissions, fees for converting currency. It all adds up. The fees would just swallow a $100 investment whole.
Which is why the sources point everyone toward these accessible global platforms. We're talking about names you might have heard of. like Interactive Brokers, eToro, or TD Ameritrade, which is now part of Charles Schwab.
These were built for exactly this purpose, for global retail investors. They have low minimums, sometimes no minimums, and often zero commission trading on U.S. stocks.
But, and this is a huge but, you have to be careful here, regulation is everything.
It is non-negotiable. You're sending your money across borders. You have to check, you have to verify that the broker is regulated by a serious entity. Look for the SEC in the U.S. or the FCA in the U.K. If they don't have that, it's a huge red flag.
Okay, so let's assume you found a good regulated international broker. Step 2 is opening the account, the paperwork.
Well, the good news is this is almost always 100% online now. You'll need your ID, your cédula de ciudadanía, your bank details, and one very important form, the W-8BN.
The W-8BN. Okay, that sounds like exactly the kind of bureaucratic thing that makes people just give up.
It does sound intimidating, but it's crucial and actually pretty simple to fill out online.
So what is it?
Think of it this way. The U.S. government assumes anyone who owns a U.S. stock is a U.S. taxpayer by default. The W-8BN form is just your official declaration that you're not. You're a non-resident for tax purposes.
And why does that matter?
Because it stops you from being double taxed. Without it, the U.S. could withhold a whopping 30% of your dividends. With the form, it's taxed at a much lower treaty rate, or the U.S. just defers to Colombia for taxes on your gains. It's a must-do.
Got it. So it's your tax passport, basically. So, account open, W-8BN filed, step 3, getting the $100 in there.
And you have two main options here, both with costs to consider. The old school way is an international wire transfer from your bank. It's secure, but it can be expensive. Your local bank might charge a high fixed fee for that.
And the more modern way.
Using a payment gateway. Some of these big international platforms can now accept deposits directly in Colombian pesos or COP. They handle the conversion on their end, and often the fees are much lower and more transparent than a traditional bank wire. It just removes a lot of the friction.
Okay, the account is funded. Money is there. We're ready to actually buy the stock. This is step 4, the search and the order.
And the symbol, the ticker you're looking for on the New York Stock Exchange is simple. It's just KO.
KO, a classic. And let's say, for our example, the stock is trading around $65 per share. And of course, you have to check the live price when you invest.
Right.
Now, in the old days, you'd buy one share for $65, and you'd have $35 just sitting there doing nothing, inefficient. But this is where it gets really interesting for the small investor. This is the revolution of fractional shares.
This is the concept that makes the whole $100 goal totally doable. A decade ago, this wasn't really an option. If a share of, say, Google cost $2,000, well, that was your entry price.
You had to have $2,000.
Exactly. But now, with fractional shares, these platforms let you invest by dollar amount. You just say, I want to invest exactly $100.
So if KO is at $65, you don't buy one share. You buy, what is that, 1.3 shares?
Precisely. Or if the stock was, hypothetically, $110, you'd buy 0.9 shares.
So all of your capital is put to work immediately.
It keeps your money working. It completely removes that old barrier where you had to save up for months just to afford one single share of an expensive company.
Yeah.
It turns investing into a continuous habit.
Okay, so that leads to step 5, understanding the total cost. Let's assume the commission to buy the stock is 0 on these platforms. What other little costs might nibble away at our $100?
Well, the main ones are the transfer fees we already talked about, getting the money into the account. And then there's a smaller, less obvious cost called the spread.
Spread. This one confuses people. Let's break it down simply.
Think of it like a tiny built-in fee for the convenience of an instant trade. It's just the tiny difference between the highest price a buyer is willing to pay, the bid, and the lowest price a seller is willing to accept, the ask.
So if you buy at $65.05, but the instant selling price is $65 flat, that 5-cent difference is the spread.
Exactly. For a huge liquid stock like KO, it's usually just pennies, almost negligible. But it's a real cost you should be aware of.
Okay, the order is in. You've clicked buy. You are now officially a Coca-Cola shareholder.
A part owner.
A part owner. And now we have to completely shift our perspective. We're not talking about a soft drink anymore. We're analyzing a complex financial asset.
Right. And a balanced view is so important. Let's start with the sweet side, the big strengths that have made it a dividend aristocrat.
So beyond just the brand name, which is obviously massive, what's the real competitive advantage? The moat, as they say. I mean, Pepsi is huge, too.
The sources point to two key things. First, yes, the brand is the most valuable in the beverage world, But the real power is the distribution network, the logistics.
How so?
Coca-Cola has this brilliant capital-light franchise model. They don't own all the bottling plants. Independent bottlers make those massive capital investments, and KO just sells them the syrup concentrate.
So KO gets this incredibly stable, high-margin cash flow without having to pay for all the factories and trucks.
That's the engine. That predictable cash flow is what allows them to raise that dividend year after year after year. It's a classic defensive stock.
Meaning people buy it even when the economy is bad.
People still buy a Coke or a bottle of water in a recession. It makes it less volatile than, say, a high-flying tech stock, which is great for a beginner's portfolio.
Okay, now for the other side, the sour side. Every investment has risks. What are the big ones for a legacy giant like KO?
The number one risk, without a doubt, is the global health trend. The structural move away from sugar. That's not going away.
And they know this. They've been buying up water brands, coffee brands, low-sugar options.
They have, but that adaptation is expensive. It costs a ton of money, and it challenges those historically high profit margins they've enjoyed for so long.
What about the balance sheet? The sources mention high debt. Should $100 investor be worried about that?
Worried? No. Aware? Yes. KO uses a lot of debt, a lot of leverage, to fund things like stock buybacks and acquisitions. For a company with cash flow this stable, it's manageable. They can easily pay the interest. But in a world with rising interest rates, that debt gets more expensive. And that could slow down future dividend growth. It's not a solvency risk, but it is a growth risk.
And the final risk, valuation. KO is often seen as expensive. It trades at a high price-to-earnings, or PE, ratio. What does that mean for you?
It just means the market already knows it's a great, stable company, and you have to pay a premium for that safety. A high PE means the stock is kind of priced for perfection, which can limit how much the stock price itself will go up in the short term. You're buying it for the steady income, not for explosive price gains.
And one last, very specific risk for someone in Colombia. Currency.
Yes, this is a big one. Your investment is in US dollars, but your daily life is in Colombian pesos. So the value of your investment, when you measure it in pesos, will go up and down with the COP-USD exchange rate.
So the dollar could weaken against the peso, and even if your KO stock goes up in dollars, it could actually be worth less in local currency.
Temporarily, yes. You have to be comfortable with that currency fluctuation.
So where does this all leave us? What's the final takeaway?
The takeaway is that this is absolutely doable. Investing $100 in KO from Colombia is achievable thanks to these global platforms and fractional shares.
But the real return on this investment, at least at first, isn't really financial, is it?
No, the primary value here is the education. It's about gaining what the sources call financial sovereignty. You move from just being a spectator of the market to being an actual participant.
You learn by doing. You learn how to open an account, how to track a ticker, how commissions work, and you feel the psychology of seeing your own money at work.
And that psychology leads right to the first big challenge you're going to face: patience.
Right. You can't panic when your account goes down by $5.
Yeah.
Or even 10.
The market moves every single day. If your plan is to hold this for decades and let those dividends compound, the daily price is just noise. You have to ignore the noise.
Okay, challenge number 1 is patience. What's the second step on the journey?
Continuous education. Use this first investment as your license to learn more. Now that you own KO, learn how to actually read its balance sheet. Find out what percentage of its revenue comes from water versus soda. That knowledge is what will sustain you as an investor.
And the third, and maybe most important, long-term goal: diversification.
Exactly. Once you've got the habit down with KO, the next challenge is to start researching other things. You have to spread your risk. Maybe look at an ETF that buys hundreds of stocks at once, or explore a totally different sector like tech or healthcare.
This brings us to a final, really critical point for any investor in Colombia: taxes.
Yes. You have to remember, any money you make from selling foreign stocks, your capital gains, is taxable in Colombia. And any dividends you receive are also considered foreign income.
So you have to declare it.
You absolutely must declare it on your income statement. The sources are very clear. Consult a local tax advisor to make sure you're fully compliant. The last thing you want is for a good investment to become a tax problem.
So don't let that $100 just be an idea. Turn it into a real, practical laboratory for your own learning.
And please remember, while we've laid out this roadmap based on the source material, this deep dive is for educational purposes only. We are not providing personal financial or investment advice. You always have to do your own research.
We'll see you on the next deep dive.